Doctor Who, the most epicest British time-traveling show, has had an immeasurable cultural impact ever since its inception in 1963.
Didn't anyone ever tell you there's one thing you never put in a trap if you're smart, if you value your continual existence, if you have any plans about seeing tomorrow, there's one thing you never ever put in a trap.
And what would that be, sir?
Ever since I was 12, I've always been captivated by the show, and even though I absolutely despise the recent series 12, I can't see myself dropping Doctor Who anytime soon. Recently I've been rewatching all of New Who and am currently almost finished with series 6. It has been quite some time since Chris Chibnall took a hold of the show, resulting in me slowly forgetting what I loved about it.
Twitter.
But my recent rewatch has reignited that spark I had as I watched it back in 2013. However, there was always one aspect of Doctor Who that was always lacking. I am a real 100% genuine gamer after all, and Doctor Who didn't have the best grasp of the gaming market. Sure, there were the adventure games, but I was stupid and didn't buy them when they used to be up on Steam. Look at how much the Steam keys go for now, I can't afford that. Well, I could if I wanted to, but it's not worth it. Instead, when I was 12, I got the DS game. I don't trust myself anymore. The rest of the Doctor Who gaming library seems to be pretty bad. Even the recent VR game I found to be extremely disappointing. But somehow, a diamond was found among hundreds of layers of stone. Doctor Who, The Lonely Assassins, released in March of 2021, with scarily positive reviews for a Doctor Who video game. So I decided to buy it during the Steam summer sale, and if you want to see how playing the game went, stay tuned, because that's what this video is about. Spoilers ahead. Despite the immense hype I hopefully built up with the introduction of this video, The Lonely Assassins is a smartphone game developed by the people behind Sarah is Missing. So yeah, not the AAA Doctor Who game we all dreamed of. In the game, you assume the role of yourself after getting your hands on a mysterious smartphone that has been seemingly corrupted. Woo! You attempt to unlock the phone thrice and fail, causing it to initiate a self-destruct sequence! This is very realistic because as we know, the Samsung Galaxy Note 7 was prone to doing just that. But do not fret, because my favorite Doctor Who character of all time, Osgood, hacks the phone and saves your life. She's my favorite because she has asthma, like me. From then on, she tasks you to investigate the phone, which belonged to a man named Lawrence. You can deny her if you want, the game just restarts. What's really neat about the story though is that Lawrence is an actual character from the show who appeared in the very first Weeping Angel episode titled Blink. If you somehow don't know what the Weeping Angels are, basically they're an alien species that turns into solid stone whenever someone is observing them. Well, it's probably not literal stone, otherwise we'd be able to just smash them with a pickaxe. Its scientific term is called quantum locking, and because it sounds sciencey, it gives them the ability to be indestructible, making them the perfect predators. But this has the unfortunate side effect of not being able to socialize like normal people, especially with each other. If two Weeping Angels are looking at each other, they screwed. So in order to keep themselves from staring at each other and locking themselves into place for all of eternity, the angels cover their eyes as if they were weeping. Thus, you have the Weeping Angels. But back to the topic of Lawrence, it's nice to see him again. We learn that he's happily married with a woman named Nat, and Sally, who was also a character in the same episode, has moved to America. Although I think they try to write Sally out of the story because she's too famous for them now to actually hire and be able to afford. Literally, her profile picture on Lawrence's phone is just like, I don't even know what it is. It looks like a mop or some spaghetti or something. They just couldn't get her face. So here's my problem. The game is wonderful for me, a Doctor Who fan, because there are so many nods to previous episodes from the show, ranging from subtle ones like a couple of photos of the TARDIS found outside of the French word, to ones that come at your face at Mach speeds like the video ripped straight out of the episode Blink, where the Doctor gives his famous speech about not blinking. On top of that, we get to learn what some forgotten characters have gotten up to after 15 years. It's fantastic, but the first half of the game is just a build-up to the eventual reveal of a Weeping Angel, and it's constantly treated like a mystery. But to the average Doctor Who fan, it's child's play. Well, that and also the Weeping Angels are prominently featured on the advertising and marketing for the game. On top of that, because I already knew how Weeping Angels worked, I was already piecing together a lot of the story quite easily. The game also treats you like you know nothing about Doctor Who, which makes sense because your character is getting thrust into a Doctor Who adventure for the first time in their life, but that also just makes it not fun for me. Like, yeah, I know what the TARDIS is and I know how the Doctor can regenerate and all that, I don't need to be told all of this. It's important to introduce a new character to the world of Doctor Who because they're a literal character. The audience should know their thoughts and reactions to aliens and blue time-traveling police boxes. But when you're playing as yourself, then it just doesn't work. The VR game at least knew to get that right, and it thrusted you straight into the action. The game still treated you like you knew nothing, but they went over stuff real quickly because you probably already watched the show and knew a bunch of this stuff beforehand. The VR game also took you to new locations and introduced you to new concepts, so you were always kept on your feet, but the Lonely Assassins didn't, which is weird. The appeal of VR is being able to just go into another world, so the VR game should be taking old concepts and putting you inside them to experience them as if you were there. The Lonely Assassins should be the one creating new concepts so you don't know what's happening, therefore making it a true mystery. But somehow they got this all backwards, and the VR game has you cowering in fear from generic horror monsters that have never appeared in the show before, while the Lonely Assassins has you thinking, yep, I know they're the Weeping Angels. Can we move on now? The Weeping Angels are also quite odd in the game. They've somehow developed a virus that takes over Lawrence's phone, and they have the ability to travel through the internet while also corrupting websites and altering web browsers. Doctor Who does tend to introduce new abilities for returning monsters to keep stories fresh, but I felt like this was all a little unnecessary. I mean, it could have worked if they actually hid the fact that the Weeping Angel was the main villain, but they didn't, so it was just kind of weird. But I guess they were just kind of limited from the fact that this was a game where you find someone's phone and look through it, so they had to make the Weeping Angels a digital threat instead of a physical one. So I guess that more so emphasizes that making Doctor Who a missing person phone game is just an odd choice. On top of that, this guy apparently turns into a Weeping Angel, and it even goes as far as his voice being used to communicate to us, but in the end the Doctor just calls you up and is like, he's fine. But the thing is, it was already established that for a Weeping Angel to use someone's voice, they basically had to kill the person, so he literally could not have been fine. Then there's the secret ending, which makes absolutely no sense. When you finish the game, you actually don't get to figure out what happened to Lawrence. You get a phone call from the doctor, and she just tells you, I don't know where he is. I can't know everything, teehee. However, if you find all of the TARDIS Easter eggs on the phone and scan them all, which I did find, but I was stupid and didn't end up scanning the last one, then you unlock the secret ending. The game isn't worth playing all over again to unlock the secret ending, so I just found a clip on YouTube. And it really hurts to say that this ending is poo. It's revealed that the Doctor saves Lawrence just before a Weeping Angel could get him. The Angels feed by sending people back in time so they can snack on all their potential years the person could have spent in the present day, and Lawrence's wife became a victim of that. So, the Doctor and Lawrence travel back in time to find his wife. But instead of bringing his wife back into the present, Lawrence literally just abandons his friends and then sticks around in the past with his wife. The Doctor could have easily brought her back to the present day. They've tried to keep characters trapped in the past before by claiming that a time paradox could destroy the world if they saved them, but that's because they saw a gravestone of the person they were trying to save, and the rule was that they couldn't have changed what they already knew. Maybe Lawrence found his wife's gravestone as well, but they didn't mention that, and if they did, the game didn't bring much attention to it, so the secret ending felt kinda lame. Okay, so the story is not too hot, but how's the gameplay and puzzles? Well, that's not too hot either. The game is extremely easy and mainly requires you to just find a thing and report it back to Osgood. The puzzles are extremely simplistic, and the most complicated thing you'll do is be given a paragraph that's similar to the liar's paradox, and you'll have to figure out if this guy is a liar or not. A majority of the game is very linear, and the most control you'll have is just finding clues in your own order, and I guess also picking your own dialogue options, but that only affects the conversation, and it doesn't affect the overall story or anything. There was one moment though where I got to skip some dialogue because the puzzle was so incredibly easy that I didn't need to speak to Osgood about it. Basically, you're tasked to control the security cameras, but they're locked behind codes. Throughout the game, you've been receiving out-of-context messages that consist of the camera's names, followed by some numbers. If you have any sort of basic functioning hippocampus, you can piece together that the numbers from these calls are the codes to the cameras. It also helps that you literally get the final call with the final camera code 5 seconds after you've been given the task to move the cameras. So it's pretty hard to get into a situation where you maybe stop playing the game for a few days and needed to jog your memory. Even then, I'm pretty sure the closest save point is before you get the final call anyway, so you'd have to go through all of that again. To be honest though, at the end of the day, lots of puzzle games have hint systems, but this puzzle was so easy, and because other puzzles didn't give you hints, it makes it feel as if the developers thought the game was harder than it actually is. I would have actually been fine with the simple gameplay though if the story and mystery were at least any good, but because they weren't, the bland gameplay was like salt in the wound. In conclusion, I simply did not enjoy The Lonely Assassins. Maybe the story would be a little more exciting for someone who doesn't know anything about Doctor Who, making the fact that you play someone who is completely unfamiliar with the Doctor actually enjoyable.
A friend would have to set up the game though to avoid all the Weeping Angel marketing.
And I don't know why anyone who hasn't seen the show would even play a Doctor Who game in the first place. But unfortunately, with my unlimited New Who knowledge, the only thing I could enjoy were the Easter eggs. One day we'll be graced with a truly spectacular Doctor Who game, and I'm sure that day is coming.
Since that day will be specifically the 30th of September 2021, because the new Doctor Who game releasing will have David Tennant, baby!
I'm the Doctor. Just probably not the one you were expecting.